Yesterday, the Nigeria's national electricity grid collapsed for the third time in 2024, again throwing the nation into total blackout. It was learned that the grid collapsed about 2:42 a.m. on Monday, with generation dropping to 64.70 megawatts. Electricity distribution companies that discussed confirmed the system collapse in separate statements. Now, this is what we'll be definitely dissecting. We have in the studio the former managing director of transmission company of Nigeria, Dr. Abubakar Tambuwal. Good morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning, viewers.
Of course. And we definitely know your power or your knowledge when it comes to the power sector. You've been in this, industry for the longest time. Doctor, can you walk us through, your concern after, yesterday's collapse or early this morning?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that we are having more frequent collapse nowadays. And it is a serious concern because it has serious economic implications. And more so, we have just transited into a new tariff regime where Band A customers should be guaranteed of at least 20 hours of supply. So this is a serious concern, particularly to the distribution companies who must keep to this undertaking on their own part. So if a system collapses, it means the power has virtually gone to zero, and that Band A can virtually have even 1 hour, which is really unfortunate. So system collapse, as you all know, happens due to many reasons, ranging from inadequacy in generation or fault on the transmission, or some other reasons which might destabilize the grid and cause it to lose the power. Like what happened yesterday, I learned it was a fire incident at Afam, one of the generating stations, which has really affected the stability of the grid and caused the system collapse.
Doctor, when you hear about, fire incidences that tends to happen, especially for this, it means that there was a warning. This could have been averted, don't you think?
Yeah, actually, any power transmission, be it or generation infrastructure, should have ability to sense when such incident is about to happen. And obviously, in the design, there should be means of abating that fire incident. But when it occurs, again, sometimes due to unforeseen circumstances, this is bound to happen.
All right, one of the major concerns is, when we mentioned the tariff clarification, talking about band A, B, C, I don't even know if there is D, but then, okay, so there is more bands there. Earlier, we showed a package of our reporter, talking with band A users and even band B, where even at that, they say they are being charged a lot, but they're still not getting, the hours as promised. Just saying band A would get at least 20 hours a day. Band B should get about 16, which a lot of them said they get less than, maybe 12, under 10 even, due to the circumstances. Now, even though Nigerians are of the opinion that the fact that they're charged more, the band A users, it would definitely have an influence in, the electricity generation, in how much megawatts should, be generated so far. But then it seems, even with this decision, even though it's just in a span of 1 month, there is another relapse again in the grid. So should it be that Nigerians should be worried that just because the band A users have been charged does not mean that there's going to be a transformation in, the power sector?
Well, one may be forced to believe somehow that the pressure that the distribution companies will be faced on supplying this power, particularly when the generation is low, could result in such a situation. That is to say, if a distribution company tries to take more power than is allowed in order to satisfy the Band A customers, that could be a danger in overloading the system. But that's not what's happened really. What happened is, like I said, as a result of some incidences, be it fire, like what happened last night or yesterday, other reasons could come in to really cause disruption. And as such, these Band A customers may not get, it will not be the actual fault of the distribution company, because distribution companies who can only transmit or distribute what has been transmitted to them from TCN based on the available generation.
All right, let's talk about the risk. I mean, there's been a speculation that the grid has collapsed over 200 times in I don't know how long that was mentioned, but let's say in about 9 years, about 200 times. Is there any risks to the power sector and to the grid for this consistent relapse and collapse of it?
Of course, there are repercussions, a lot of risk on the grid, on the power system, on the equipment themselves. By going down, for instance, generation is ramped down to 0, and then you have to restart the generator. You have to synchronize them to make them function together and deliver the power. So all these things has effect on the performance of the machines. Even the transmission, breakers, all of them, there are serious repercussions on their performance technically as a result of this on and off. So it is really detrimental to the power system because it reduces the performance of this equipment.
Some Nigerians are saying there is lack of maintenance also contributing to this. Do you agree with that?
Somehow I will say yes. For example, if you did not maintain the critical transmission line, the 330 kV lines, the 132 kV lines that took bulk power from generating station to the distribution end users, any slight fault on them, like they trip due to asphalt, tree spilling on them, or whatever, it can cause serious outage. And by law, if, for example, we are generating 3,000 megawatts, and you have a single line of 330 transmitting or taking up to 300 megawatts, that is about 10% of the total generation. If you lose that line, you are surely going to lose the system because there's going to be power swing and any other instability that can cause collapse. So you see, maintenance of these lines is very, very essential. That is why annually or even less, transmission company is supposed to have mechanized trace clearance. That is, all the trees along that transmission line must be cleared totally. And then periodically you go and do some maintenance of the trace. So if that is not done, definitely the system is at risk. That is on the part of the transmission. And on the part of generation, they have their own issues too. If they cannot maintain their machine, and at any given time, a machine or a unit stopped, it means power is reduced. And you are consuming power as you are generating it. So all the loads are connected to deliver or to take that power. And you lose a machine, which, for example, is about 300 megawatt. Then another problem will come. So these are the issues. Maintenance is highly essential. It is critical to the system in order to maintain stability.
All right, so let's talk about your tenure. I'm just curious. During your tenure in the transmission, I mean, you've pinpointed other areas that could, be addressed in order to get some modification out of it. Would you say there was a particular area that was a bit of a concern that you think, could aid to address all of this solution in the transmission sector?
There are, and I believe up to now, those issues have not been resolved. For example, we have what is called supervisory data acquisition and control system, SCADA. It is still not yet installed in the transmission. It's supposed to be taking care of the system.
And that's a necessity.
It's a necessity. So that even if there is danger of a collapse, with that computer system, you should be able to predict and take necessary action to avert it. That is on one part. And second part, another very critical aspect, which is still not available, is what is called spinning reserve. Spinning reserve is being provided by generation company, but it must be procured by TC and ISO. That whenever there is a collapse, or when such a situation like I mentioned before happens, you have a reserve generation that will quickly automatically come up like a shock absorber to prevent that collapse. That is not there in the system. So these are very, very critical items which must be provided if the system stability and reliability is going to be guaranteed.
Indeed, it's really disheartening how, the power sector is taken a bit lightly than Nigerians would want. But then you are a, powerhouse. You are someone that is a major stakeholder when it comes to the power sector. Have you heard of any, intervention decision that would help in modernization of this national grid?
Yeah, of course, government has been doing quite a lot in terms of providing the necessary funding and infrastructure. The SCADA I'm talking about, I know has been contracted out, and even this Siemens project is going to take care of that. So we believe by the time it is through, SCADA would have been fully established. And then we also think that with additional power stations or power units that is being provided by these generation companies, we should be able to have some level of spinning reserve which can be made available in the event of eventuality of power collapse.
This plan of the government, is there any fear of corruption tainting it?
Well, one cannot rule that possibility, but anything happens in Nigeria. But I believe those institutions or those responsible, if they are charged, they should be able to deliver according to what they should. That is to say, if it is transmission company and they are given the funding and the mandate to provide these facilities, if they don't, I think government has the right to question them to see what really went wrong for not providing such a facility.
In your take, do you think that the government is taking this national grid really seriously at this point?
Well, I don't want to comment too much on it because I know government must be concerned. Government is probably more concerned than you and me on the way and manner.
A lot of Nigerians would disagree with that.
Well, but that's for real. So I believe government is not leaving it to chance. I believe something is being done which, in order to avert that. People want drastic action. I agree with you. And I think government should be more proactive and react so that this thing can be put to rest.
All right, let's talk about short term. Nigerians are, in need of solutions, like a quick, swift solution. They're so eager for that, considering they've been carried along this journey for about 10 years now. And Nigeria cannot really brag and say, okay, at least at this point, would say we have moved a step, forward. So in your own view, what do you think would be a quick solution when it comes to, the collapse and relapse always of this national grid?
Well, it's not an easy task or something that can be done immediately.
So no short-term solution.
The short-term solution is for the system operators or stakeholders to be able to, first of all, maintain their system, maintain their equipment, and ensure that all possibilities, all reasons that can cause system collapse is abated. For example, I have mentioned the maintenance aspect, both on the transmission towers, the equipment, the transformers, so that the risk of fire outbreak can be reduced. Sometimes you see that they don't even have adequate transformer oil. It's just like engine oil to a car. And if it is gone or if it's not there, the transformer is at danger. And probably that is what we have been seeing present in transmission company, where we are losing a lot of asset, a lot of power transformers. So I think these are the issues that must be done, and also the grid, the discipline in the grid. Like I said earlier, the only danger now is some distribution companies may decide to overload the system in order to satisfy the band A customers. So that could be a risk. Indeed. If not clearly addressed, it can cause some problems.
Of course. I mean, talking about managing or overloading of grids, do we need some kind of a super grid, to try to avert all of this?
Yeah. Well, rather what I will advocate is a smart grid, okay, which should use all the modern techniques and technology to ensure that the system is stable. One of it, which will adequately help, is the SCADA system. That is very important. And then the super grid you are talking about, well, yeah, we need it, but not immediately, because the 330 kV lines that we have are a little bit convenient now to wheel out the 6,000. That is, even if we're able to produce 6,000 megawatts. But when you come to higher generation, for example, I heard that the government is seriously considering nuclear, and a single unit of nuclear can produce between 1,500 and 2,000 megawatts. So for a line, transmission line, to wheel out that power from that unit, from that station, you need a super grid of about 760 kilovolts that can take that bulk power. So I think government should start planning. I know transmission has already mooted the idea. Studies has been done. Only that implementation is what remains. Of course, funding is another issue there.
Indeed. Well, it's something that we hope the government would be able to avert, because I think Nigerians are at the brink of losing their patience, and I don't think anybody can blame them.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Abubakar Tambuwal, for joining us to dissect the collapse of the national grid. Appreciate you, the director of or former managing director of Transmission Company of Nigeria. Also, of course, we will not go without tuning your horn when it comes to how you've developed your career through the power sector by holding key positions. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Of course. And with that, we have come to the end of Daybreak on Trust Television this Tuesday morning. Appreciate you staying with us. Please do stick around. At the top of the hour, Emmanuel Fashemi would bring you 360 Sports. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Do have a lovely day.